And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
First of all, people were put to shame, me and others out there that talked about Joe Biden's mental acuity. We were told he was sharp as a tack, he had a photographic memory, he was intense and brilliant. And what's amazing is the sources of this book were the same sources that told us that we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. It's a stutter. Stop talking about him. The fact is they were managing his decline in a nursing home in the White House.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage. And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
It's hard to do this video for me, I don't know. I just think people, honestly, Joe Biden was used. Like, the Democratic Party attempted to use Joe Biden as a figurehead for power. That's the reality. This is why I think it's so hard for me to cover this story, is that Joe Biden, in my view, was being politically abused by his own party. And when he served no purpose, they want to shuffle him in the back because they knew this was a ticking time bomb. And before I continue my videos, prayers to Joe Biden. I don't wish any ill will towards him, even though I don't agree with his approach, his policy prescriptions, even though I believe what he did, he made the wrong calls, he made the wrong decisions that led to bad outcomes for the American people. I do not wish this for anybody. With that out of the way, I will be very criticizing the media, Democrats, people around him, the Democratic Party specifically. And in this intro, you saw the intro. We were being gaslit, right? I remember. We were being called conspiracy theorists for believing that something was going on with Joe Biden. In the intro, Joe Biden admitted in 2022, I think on this climate change tour of his, he admitted that he had a cancer. And because of our political bias, because of conservatives' political bias, we pointed it out and say, yo, why is he saying this? Why is he stuttering like this? Why is his stutter that bad? Democrats gaslighting us. Oh, you're victim shaming, whatever excuse they brung up. They did not want to talk about what the hell was going on with Joe Biden. And then these Democratic voters, these Democratic supporters have the gall to call us liars. When it seemed like time and time again, the framings of the liberal media, journalists, I already told you, only 3.2% of journalists are conservative. Majority of them are either independent or Democrats. Journalism is considered the most liberal profession in the world right now. You guys had no political incentive to investigate whether or not Joe Biden was mentally healthy because it hurt your power. And at the same time, it would have helped Donald Trump. And I don't like helping Donald Trump, allegedly. This is what the liberal media journalists have admitted, that they can't cover Donald Trump or political events objectively because it could help Trump. They lied about COVID. They lied about mail-in ballots. They lied about Hunter's laptop. They lied about the election. They lied about Biden's brain. They lied about Biden signing documents, and now they're lying about Biden's cancer. 2 days before Jake Tapper was supposed to release this so-called book of his, they put out this news. Because, like I said, Democrats, there's one thing Democrats are good for, and I give them props for it. They're good at emotionally manipulating people. Democratic Party's messaging is very manipulative emotionally. They're going to use this as a way to shield or silence scrutiny around Joe Biden's mental condition, even though there was clues and hints that the American people understood. For instance, I want to show you a flashback clip of Robert Hur and also the newly leaked audio tape from his interview, and see how desperate the Democrats were in defending the optics surrounding that report. Let's take a look.
What is in the rules, Mr. Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said, vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall. There is nothing more common. You know this. I know this. There is nothing more common with a witness of any age when asked about events that are years old to say, I do not recall. Indeed, they're instructed by their attorney to do that if they have any question about it. You understood that. You made a choice. That was a political choice. It was the wrong choice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Arizona, did special counsel wish to respond to that final question?
Yes, Congressman, what you are suggesting is that I shape, sanitize, omit portions of my reasoning and explanation to the Attorney General for political reasons.
No, I suggest that you not shape your report for political reasons, which is what you did.
That did not happen, Congressman. That did not happen.
Bo, I used to go home on the train in the period that I was still in the Senate. Anyway, do you remember?
I have no idea why you would want to put that in the document, but at this point,
it's a warning.
It's not. Well, but
I mean,
why put the warning?
Republicans
But
are
why
gonna
put
seize on it,
why
but
put the warning in
it is.
there?
I mean, did it strike you as odd? I mean, it kind of seems completely beyond the scope of the conversation, which is whether he willfully classified.
I don't know if it's odd because the White House pushback was, well, the day he did his interview, it was the day after the Israel-Hamas war started. So are you telling me that the president's mental faculties are mostly diminished when he's dealing with a crisis? This
That's
is
not a
vital.
good response. That's like saying he hadn't slept. I understand.
Robert Hur wrote in a report, I can't even charge this man because if I put him in front of a jury, they're going to say, oh, this is just a confused old man. We could never get a conviction. We had official government evidence that he was in cognitive decline. And what did the White House do? They smeared Robert Hur. They smeared him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with
do you not feel lied to? Do you guys, the Democrats who ran your party, who ran the White House, the people who lied to you as a journalist, do you not feel any sense of outrage about Karine or anybody else in the line? They lied to you guys.
I've been talking about this for a while now, that the Democratic Party, they don't care about like what's in the best interest of the American people, honestly. They care about what's in the best interest of themselves and their party, and you can see that here. You can see that here. Because based on what we know now, if they could have gotten away with it, Joe Biden would have gotten reelected. And imagine Joe Biden being reelected right now and he gets diagnosed with cancer. Perfect reason for him to resign. And guess who becomes president? Kamala Harris, without going through the voting process. The same way they anointed her in the 2024 primaries. Because Joe Biden gave his endorsement behind her, and it forced the Democratic Party to coalesce around here and not have an open primary, even though they knew she didn't have a good chance of winning either. And many conservatives are coming to this conclusion too. Jarvis A. Price, hopefully I said Javon A. Price. So can the Democrats just admit at this point that their original plan before Pelosi and Obama stepped in was to push Biden through re-election, have him die in office, I don't want to say necessarily die in office, and appoint Kamala as the first female president without a single vote cast? I mean, end of the day, look, the timing of this story is very suspicious to me. And I'm seeing commentary online, like David Axelrod, the commentator. He loves to go back and forth with Scott Jennings. He claimed, "Yo, this should temper scrutiny. Like, we should be silent about this out of respect for Joe Biden's health, and we are respecting his health. No one's demonizing Joe Biden. No one's going at Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden was diagnosed. I forgot to even tell you guys the diagnosis: stage 4 cancer, prostate cancer." Stage 4 prostate cancer, guys. Cancer don't progress that fast if it happened recently. According to some things that I know, maybe I could be wrong. But in 5 or 6 months, it don't progress that fast. Could it be known for a while now that he was being treated like this? Make it make sense. And you had his doctors, clean health. Now you know why they didn't want to release his physical. Now you know why. And Kamala Harris was probably the one who knew the most about what was going on. And they all hit it. Karine Jean-Pierre, right? All these staffers hit it. Wow. Democrats will do anything for power and control. I mean, it's politics. I mean, it's known from the beginning of time, right? From monarchies to ministries. Everyone's going to do what they can to jockey for power. And the way the Democrats use Joe Biden almost essentially like a pawn. Wow. The Democrats was lying to us about one of the most important things imaginable to our country, the health of our incumbent president running for re-election. We're going to talk about that. And this gaslighting ain't working no more. I keep telling Democrats, even Democrats in my family, that when they start going into this, like when they try to virtue signal or they try to go into these tirades using this emotional kind of gaslighting, manipulative tone, I just go, I don't want to hear this BS. Conversations about Biden's mental acuity should be more muted and set aside for now as he's struggling through this. Out of respect for Joe Biden, we shouldn't be talking about how we covered up this decline, how we shut down any conversation or any kind of suggestion that something could be wrong with him. Right? This is what the Democrat Party is doing. No, the two go hand in hand. I wish them well, but the Democrats abused this man for 4 years. It has come to light, not to shame Biden, but to shame and expose the Democratic Party, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. The Democrats and the media covered up Joe Biden's mental cognitive decline is the biggest political scandal of our time. Now Democrats want the press to dutifully continue covering it up. The conversation is not about Biden's mental acuity. Anyone who was honest could see that he was impaired. The conversation is about how the White House staff and his wife worked together to hide it from the American people. And I can't even watch. There's The View. I can't even watch The View when he was on it because of how bad. Like Joe Biden had to keep stepping in and help. I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch this video. I can't. And the asinine fact that these people want to sit here and pretend, oh no, they're just so surprised. David Axelrod, Fan Jones, they're just so surprised that this is happening. You got Brian Sheltered talking about this, and this is some of the worst analysis I ever seen about the media. Here's Brian Stanter talking about suggesting that we should pause public scrutiny on the conspiracy to hide Joe Biden's mental health out of respect for him. The gaslighting. Oh, we should respect Biden's privacy and not talk about the fact that we hid this from you and that any questioning of his conditions, we gaslighted you, called you cheap fakes, say it was fake news, say it was a conspiracy theory. No, don't criticize us. Look, don't criticize us because it's going to hurt Joe Biden. This is Brian Stelter's take, guys. Let's take a look.
CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter is joining us now. And Brian, thanks for jumping on with us. Look, this is breaking news that came just about 2 hours ago, and it is now rippling through television media, online. How are people consuming this? How is it reaching people?
And, I'm seeing some prostate cancer survivors, people who have lived with this disease, who have been through this, expressing support, both condolences, but also support and cheering Biden on as he faces this. The timing, Jessica, is just extraordinary. We know from the statement from his personal spokesman that Biden learned of the diagnosis on Friday. Well, what was the biggest Biden story on Friday? It was the release of those audio excerpts from his conversations with Robert Hur back in 2023. This was the audio audio that Axios obtained, almost certainly from the Trump administration, showing memory lapses. And you heard a lot of people on Friday talking about that audio being hard to hear, even excruciating to hear. Biden showing his age on those audio tapes that had never been heard by the public until now. So on the day that story was breaking, Biden was facing this personal news. At least that's according to the statement from his personal spokesman. So you have that as one element of the timing here. And then you have, as you and Paul just acknowledged, this book coming out, one of the biggest political books in several years. Take out our colleague Jake Tapper for a second. This book, no matter where it was coming from, was going to be a very big blockbuster book. And it just so happens two of the best reporters in Washington, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, are the authors of it. It's already a bestseller based on the number of pre-orders. And so this book comes out in 2 days, but some of the excerpts have already come out. And it's reignited this debate in Washington and beyond within the Democratic Party about Biden, about whether he should have run for re-election at all. So it seems to me, Jessica, this debate doesn't end at all, but it is briefly put on pause as a result of today's news.
These people think they can just speak things into existence. This will be, it'll put a pause on the conversation. Where does Brian Stelter live at? This conversation has been going on over the weekend. Like, I wasn't even paying attention until on my phone notification, Biden was diagnosed with cancer. I was like, wow. I told my wife, yo, Joe Biden has cancer. My wife's like, pobrecito. Like, I can't. As bad as I think Joe Biden was from a policies perspective, I just think, you made a wrong call, you had bad outcomes. That's it. I don't hate the guy personally, but damn, my guy can't catch a break. Can't catch a break. Stop what you're doing and watch this. The way they effortlessly lie to the public about Biden's health should infuriate you. Never trust these propagandists again. And this is going to be the hardest part for the Democratic Party is honestly, no one can trust them anymore. Right? They want voters to vote for them. And this is why I think 2026 will be a very pivotal year, because it'll be a combination of everything that we have experienced, everything we have seen from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Republican parties are sitting on their hands. Hopefully Trump can put some political pressure on them to do something. We'll wait and see that. We'll see that. We'll wait and see. The Democratic Party trying to gain the trust of the American people, but how can you trust a party like this that so blatantly wants power that they will use a elderly man who likely might have had cancer while he was running for re-election, and since he had the best chance at the time to win, they wanted to push him through until he won the election. These Machiavellian people, as much as they pretend that they're so moral, so virtuous, if I just look at it purely from a political end, if I take morality out of it, that it justifies and explains everything the Democrats have been doing so far. Shame on the Democrats. This party, it might be done. It might be donezo. And it's through their own undoing. Imagine that. Everything they did, from the anti-Trumpism, right, acting as obstacles to Trump's agenda, all come back to bite them in the butt. Wow. Karma's an ish, isn't it, Democrats? And they got no one to blame but themselves. But I digress. I want to get more into this interview with Jake Tapper and these two Democratic operatives and their fake surprise, because this is a fake surprise to me.
In 2022, voicing concerns about Biden's age and ability, whom do you blame for the decision of him to run for re-election and the decision to hide his declining abilities as much as they were able to?
Well, look, at the top end, you have to blame him because he made the decision. But he was, and your book reflects this in many different ways, he was shielded by a coterie of advisors and his family. They were in this confirmation bubble, and they tried to shield the world from his decline, and they tried to shield him from his own standing and his polling numbers and so on. And so at the end of the day, I have to point the finger at the people around him who didn't do him a service by encouraging him to continue. I think it was obvious to the public. It may not have been obvious to a lot of politicians. I actually think it was, but it wasn't politically wise in their judgment to speak out.
I guess
But
it.
it was
I get it. Hey, he said nothing but facts there. I blame Jill for this. I honestly I do. I don't know how I don't know how you can do it. How you can be so. And a part of me feel like Jill was running things. You guys don't get this feeling. Let me know in the comment section you get this feeling.
that the president was just too old. He would have been closer to 90 than 80 if he had won re-election, and he already was showing decline. So I blame the people around him, because real loyalty, and it's hard when you work for President Jake to tell them hard truths, but real loyalty demanded that they say, Mr. President, it's just not there, and it's not in your interest, and it's better for you, the country, and the Democratic Party if you leave now.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage. And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
Jake Tapper, bro, wow. Like, imagine he was one of the biggest proponents of defending Joe Biden and all this stuff, gaslighting America. Like, it's crazy. Oh, the Laura Trump one comes to mind with Jake Tapper. How he went out of his way to try to essentially gaslight her and saying, "Oh, you're making fun of his stutter. You're making fun of his stutter." And now on the back end, he's making all this money based on this book because it's gonna sell. I'm guessing, and especially in Washington, right? They already anointed it as a bestseller even before it came out. But a lot of this is just confirmation of what the American people already speculated what was going on around Joe Biden.
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
Yep. Massive cover-up. That's it. That's the video, folks. Democrats, man, they're and then the fact that they tried to use emotional, like they try to manipulate Americans emotionally not to discuss this. How much did no one trusts the Democrats at that point? Did you know he had prostate cancer? And when did you find out? It wasn't May. May is when he announced it. When was this aware? Did you guys try to push this man into office knowing that he had this condition? That in the event that he won, you would have had him step down so that way Kamala Harris can just be president without having the American people have a say in the process? Was that your plan, Democrats? People are going to have those questions for them. And they're going to try to virtue signal as usual, this fake pretend, right? Because Democrats only care about optics. They don't care about reality. Democrats want to look good instead of actually being good. Actually being good was what David Axelrod was saying. Someone should have called him out, say, hey, you're not ready you can't be president anymore. You're not in the physical condition, and we're going to tell you the truth. And what happened when Robert Hur told the truth about Joe Biden's condition? He got gaslit by Adam Schiff, one of the biggest lying Democrats in TV right now. Adam Schiff, yes. Adam Schiff is the biggest liar ever. Russia. Remember him? Russia. Oh, we got impeccable evidence. Nada, nothing, zilch. He had nothing. Man had nothing. Now, craziness. And then when you saw the tape, which I showed you after that clip, after that flashback clip, it made sense why he came to the conclusions that he did about Joe Biden's mental condition. We can't trust Democrats at this point. Not in 2025, not 2026, not 2027, not even 2028. Democrats, y'all got 4 years to rebuild your reputation because right now it's it's in the floor, it's in the basement right now. I don't understand how anyone can trust this party ever again. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and your perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what your conclusions are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.